just your average everyday trucker, keeping it real. I'm your host, Chris Blodgett, and you're listening to Real Talk Tuesday. This week's topic is going to be controlled by negative emotions instead of the other way around. This is episode 170. Hey guys, welcome back. As always, appreciate you being here. So, try to, you know how it is, guys. When I do these episodes, a lot of times each week, there might be something that's near and dear to my heart. Something that I'm inspired to talk about because of I might have gone through something that week, might have seen something that week, hell, I might have heard something that week, and so that kind of lights that little fire and makes me go, you know what, this would actually be a good topic to discuss because I'm sure others have probably experienced similar situations, and probably helps to hear another perspective, probably helps talk about it, and so I'm the kind of person that I try to keep my emotions in check, especially with like negative emotions, because I figure like it is so easy to give in to the negative emotions like anger, hate, but the only problem is, or one of the, I guess not the only problem, the biggest problem for giving in to negative emotions is once you do it, it takes some work to come back from that and to switch, to go from I've got a short fuse, I'm easily pissed off, I'm thinking it's like the negative thinking, talking negatively about your life, like when I talked about like a former friend that I referred to as D, this sucks, that sucks, everything sucks, nothing's ever gonna get better, when you're thinking that way, it's hard to get out of that mental state. It's really hard to change that, and just like it's like certain addictions, like for instance, like somebody who let's say they watch, like porn, for instance, they watch that, let's say they watch like hours every day, and they're always watching it, whatever. With that, because hell, I've experienced it in the past. You know, when you get involved, when you get you give in to certain habits, certain ways of thinking, it becomes where that's all you think about, or you know, you like when you're thinking about like, oh, I can't do anything, like I can't do anything right, you know, my life sucks, you know, like everybody hates me, blah blah blah, you know, it's like it's damn near impossible unless you really work at it to get out of that, you know, way of thinking, to stop thinking that your life sucks, to stop, you know, because when you're saying that about yourself, that's why there's I've heard people say actually like your words have power, you know, like they can either build you up or break you down, and if you're speaking about your life in a negative sense, then you're gonna feel that negative sense in your life. Like you know, when you're always like, oh man, like I can't do anything right, like I'm not happy with my job, I'm not happy with my financial situation, like I'm always broke, I'm always poor, you know, like oh yeah, you know, whatever, I'm never gonna get there, whatever. You're kind of digging your own grave. You're kind of making, it's kind of like I guess the term would be like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Get a little tongue-tied. Self-fulfilling prophecy. This is technically, when I'm at the time of this recording, it's my Friday technically, so it's like, you know, Sunday morning, probably about, I don't know, about 2 hours or so from the Kansas City hub. I went to Salina, Kansas last night, and that was fun, you know. It's a small yard, so of course I had to set up 2 empties and a dolly to come out of there. And you can't go around the back of the building with a set of doubles because like you could with a single trailer and a dolly, it's fine, it's still a little bit tight, but coming out of there, it's like, you know, it's like, I had to be like, all right, how do I do this, you know, so I was creative. I kind of like moved trailers around, set them up so that they were facing the gate, so I wasn't coming around the back. So that way, when I got everything hooked up, I just literally came straight out. So I was like, all right, cool, here we go. But yeah, so we speak, you know, whatever we're talking about, whatever, we're speaking that into our own daily lives. Like you know, if you're saying that everything sucks, you're gonna feel like everything sucks. If you get paid and you spend all your money like really quick, and you're like, I don't have any money, I'm broke, you know, and then basically you're gonna feel broke because basically that's how you're speaking. It's like, yeah, every week I take care of stuff and do what I gotta do, and usually by the time I go back to work, like I make sure to have something put aside so I can get like my coffee and food when I'm out here doing my overnight load or whatever. You know, make sure I'm good. You know, so that way I don't have much more than that to work with for like 2 days before I get paid again. But I'm not thinking, hey, I'm broke because, you know, like, yeah, I don't have extra money to work with at that point, but I have what I need. You know, like I've done the things I need to do. I've taken care of the things. Like even if I haven't, like let's say I might not have been able to take care of all the things I needed to take care of that week, but I've done, you know, I've taken care of whatever I could. And I still had, you know, the funds I need to get my coffee and food, whatever, to get through my work week, and to make sure I have gas in the Silverado and whatnot. You know, then I'm good. You know, I don't go around thinking I'm broke, call me in. You know, I always try to make sure that I'm doing what I gotta do, but I'm also making sure that, you know, that I have what I need to get through the week to make it to next week, or to make it to next payday. You know, you make what payments to your different debts you got to pay, like car payments or whatever. Make payments to certain bill payments or whatever to keep certain services on, whatever. But you know, so you do what you gotta do. But you still approach it with like hey, I'm just like, yeah, it sucks. I wish I had a little bit more to work with, but at at least I'm taking care of what I need to take care of. And so, but, you know, our words have power. And so part of the, so it's like, and I kind of got a little bit off track compared to like, as far as the emotional stuff, but that kind of ties into it a little bit because, like, I try not to, like, I might feel tense or I might feel upset or, you know, stressed out or whatever, but I try not to let that really show too much with people, with like you know, people around me, like my family, whatever. It's like, you know, I might figure out, you know, whether it's something that either like a snack I can grab, like for instance, I love bacon. Not gonna lie, bacon's like, you know, that's almost like a that bacon by itself for me could be like, it's one of those comfort foods, you know. Like before getting home yesterday, I was pretty stressed. And of course, we have a Price Chopper grocery store across the street, and they have like hot food section where they have barbecue and whatnot. They have like hot like chicken tenders and potatoes and mac and cheese, whatever. You can literally go there, get a full meal, be like, hey, well, I went over there to get some chicken tenders to take home, like a whole box of them, got like 10 of them. And then I got, of course, they have some of the barbecue stuff. They have these little packages of like, basically like, I'm guessing it's like slow cooked, or kind of, it's in the barbecue section. It's bacon, but I don't know how they. I don't think it's just like they just fry it up. I think they cook it like they do with the meat they barbecue pretty much. I'll go in there and grab a little container, and they'll have like, you know, like 2 pounds or something. A bacon's might be like 4 or 5, like 3, 4 or 5 pieces in a little box for like a couple bucks. I go in there sometimes to get a little bacon fix, you know, and so like a bunch of that I'm on the way home thinking, you know, of course, like, oh my god, this is amazing comfort food, like, oh my god, oh, you know, it's awesome. But, you know, we gotta find things. You gotta like either something like you gotta go out and do something, you know, go out and, you know, go bowling, go to a movie, something to like be like, all right, cool, I'm let loose. I'm not as stressed. I feel better. And so, like, or for in some people's cases, maybe they get, you know, if they haven't had their caffeine, they get really cranky and bitter and snap at people, whatever, and, you know, like scream at people. And it's like those reels you see where it's like somebody like their girlfriend or the wife or whatever gets in the car and they're upset about something, like, I've been waiting for you, blah 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 blah, and the husband or the boyfriend quite literally like sticks like some food in their mouth, like sticks like a sandwich, you know, in their mouth, or hands them like a wrap from like Starbucks or something, and they go from like screaming at them, no, oh okay, thank you baby. Especially when they hand them, like, they put a sandwich, they kind of force them to take a bite. Oh okay, you know, and then they hand them a frap. And then they hand them like cookies or something. They're like, oh my god, thank you baby, thank you. And then all of a sudden, no, they're calmer and they're okay. I appreciate you, thank you. You got me all this great stuff. Okay. So, you know, like in some people's case, if it's because they, you know, are flipping out because they haven't had their caffeine and they feel like crap. You almost want to walk up to them with a Red Bull when they start flipping out and be like, here, drink this. Why? Because you're not very pleasant when you're tired, when you haven't had your caffeine. It's like the Snickers commercials. You know, they say, here, grab a Snickers. Why? Because you're not you when you're hungry. And then they eat the Snickers, and all of a sudden it shows them as them instead of as the other person. You know? So it's like, but we have to. It's just so easy to you know, when you're especially when you're constantly feeling these negative emotions, like let's say you get frustrated really easily, and so something happens, you get frustrated, and you end up blowing up on people around you, like you're screaming at them about, you know, like, oh my god, this is going on, oh my god, I got it. And of course people around you are like, why are you yelling at me about it? of course, they're like, I'm not yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the situation. Okay, yeah, but you're still yelling at me. Like, that's like, this is still technically, because if somebody's being yelled at, even though they're not technically, quote-unquote, being yelled at because the person is upset at the situation, like, they're yelling at the situation, they're not yelling at you, whatever, yada, yada, they're still yelling at you. It's still a problem. Technically, I could argue that that's like verbal abuse. That's like verbal assault, because literally, like, you're being screamed at, even though it's because there's stress and they're they're frustrated, they're angry at the situation, and so they're blowing up. But then as soon as it's taken care of, all of a sudden it's like, okay, cool, we're good, yeah, things are awesome, yeah, I was upset earlier, but oh my god, everything's fine now. It's like, yeah, then it's at that point, others might be like, yeah, but you kind of already ripped my head off, even though, yeah, you said it wasn't about me, but so case in point, kind of the inspiration for this topic is basically we really have to try to control ourselves, to try to control our emotions and find healthy ways to let that out, to try to de-stress, and one might try to argue when let's say somebody points out, like, yeah, but there's no need to scream about it, whatever. Well, they might be like, well, I have every right to have my emotions, blah, blah, blah. Yes, you do, but you do not have the right to blow up on people around you because of how you feel. Like, yeah, you have the right to feel the way you feel, that's true. But if that you feel that gives you the right to blow up on other people around you, because, well, like, I have a right to feel how I feel and feel my emotions. Okay, that's fine. If it's a constant thing, then people around you that deal with that on a regular basis have the right to walk away, which would probably piss you off. But they would have the right to walk away. They would have a right to distance themselves from you in your life, like, to be like, you know what, look, like, every time I'm around that person, even if they're family or a close friend or whatever, but every time I'm around them, something happens, and they something happens, and they get really pissed off about the situation, and they completely explode on me. And then, when I try to point it out, they try to be like, well, I'm not yelling at you, I'm just frustrated. Okay, you can be frustrated, you can be upset, that's totally fine. But it could, there's, like, if that's something that's going on in your life, and somebody is blowing up on you, even if it's not every day, but let's say it's a fairly regular thing, like once a week or every 2 weeks or every couple times a month, they might get upset about something, and then you basically get screamed at or whatever about the situation. They're upset about this, upset about that, whatever, then you have the right to express to them that you reserve the right to basically walk away and to not deal with it for a little bit, because we in general don't need that shit. Like, in general, all of us, we have too much stress in our lives already, and we don't need that extra shit, especially from people that quote unquote love us, especially if they're family or whatever. If it's friends or whatever, but if it's like people that are supposed to you would think love, respect you, want to be around you, whatever, but then they have these situations where they blow up on you because they're stressed about such and such or whatever, then that's not cool. It's not healthy for either side. It's not healthy for the one being blown up on, because of course they didn't do anything wrong, so why are they being screamed at, whatever, even if it's something unrelated. They should, especially in that situation, they should definitely not be screamed at, or be getting screamed at, because they didn't do anything. So it's like, why are you yelling at me when I didn't do anything wrong, because you're upset about such and such? if that's happening, you have every right to walk away. But it's especially not healthy for the people who are the ones blowing up, who are the ones that that are going through whatever certain situations are making them extremely upset, extremely stressed and tense, and basically they become overwhelmed, and it boils over, and they snap at pretty much everybody in their life, and then try to justify it like, well, I have a right to feel the way I feel, and it's like, yeah, you do, but I have a right to walk away if I feel like I'm being disrespected, not being loved because of how you're talking to me. I know you're not talking about me per se, but you're still yelling at me, and it's not healthy on either side. It's definitely not healthy for somebody that blows up like that, because they should really look at, okay, why are they so upset? What is going on in their life that they are getting that upset, that it's boiling over that much to where they erupt and blow up at everybody in their life. They need to figure that out. So it's like you got to think about we got to think about what it is. We got to look at the actual problem. You can't just, I don't know if you guys heard that little Mustang flying by. So I got over to let these cars pass because passing a couple of these flatbed trucks, and they of course now they're speeding up, so it's like I might not be able to get past them, but so now they're up to speed, so now I can't pass them. But they got on the highway and I was passing them initially, only to have these cars like tailgating me, and I was like, hold on, as soon as I get a chance, I'm gonna get by, or get over and let you guys pass me. So, but we gotta look at the things that, like, we gotta find the, like, what is causing you to feel that way? Like, what is causing us? Then, of course, we're coming up on a couple of pickup trucks and trailers that are going really slow. It's like, sorry, dude. The flatbed truck behind me, I had to get over because he was trying to get over, and we both kind of were really close together. And I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off. I really am not. But I ain't slowing down to 50 on a 70-mile highway or whatever. When I'm going 65, obviously, but So we got to look at, like, what's the issue here? Like, what's causing that problem? What? Especially if you're always angry about something, what are you angry about? Like, is there something that happened, something in life that's going on that, you're stressed about, causing you to just be angry all the time? Because I'm all about trying to, like, enjoy the little things, because I don't have that much time because of what I do for a living. Like, I'm literally out here 12, 14-hour days or whatever. Have to sleep as much as I can during the day to be ready to drive again at night. And then, of course, when I'm off on my weekend, which technically, like, when I get off Sunday and I get home by like noon, 1 o'clock, technically that's my first day off. So I'm off Sunday and Monday. And I might go lay down for like a couple hours, take a little bit of a nap, But, and there's times where I may not nap at all. I may just stay awake the entire day Sunday and just go to bed early, with the intent to enjoy time with the family, and then, like, one of my days off, like the last couple weekends, me and my youngest will actually, we're trying to keep the new house clean, keep it looking good. So, like, we went out and we bought, like, Swiffer pads. We have a broom. We have one of those mops that has two sides. The bucket has two sides to it. It has the one side that has the water, and the other side it's a round area. You put your mop in there and you push down, and it basically spins it, so it'll like spin the access. Floor cleaner, water mixture, whatever. So you're not like, flooding your floor when you're trying to mop. But the last couple weekends, like literally, I'll sweep the whole upstairs and then I'll mop. And of course, by the time I get down to like my kid's room and I go in her room to go ahead and use the broom on her floor or whatever, and all of a sudden like she and I are doing it together. Like last weekend, she's like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah, we're cleaning again. Awesome, all right, And she was like, "So what do you need help with?" I was like, "Well, if you want to, if you want to complete all the sweeping, I've already done most of the upstairs. I'll do I'll come behind you and I'll mop, And she's like, "All right, cool." So that's what we did. Like literally, I'd already swept the upstairs mostly, so she swept the remaining part while I started mopping. And then by the time I got the upstairs done, she was downstairs, sweeping all those rooms and like the bathroom and my oldest daughter's room and the game room. It touches the floor up in there. And of course, I came down the wooden steps, just mopping all those, and then was mopping the floor downstairs. So it's like, but. And then as far as enjoying the little things, like while we're doing that, the sun will be setting, and I guess our front of our house, faces west. So literally, as the sun's going down, we'll be cleaning inside, and we'll realize like the blinds will have like this orange glow, shining through a little bit. And I'm like, hey, she's like, oh, what? I'm like, oh, it's the light. Check it out. So we literally go outside with sunglasses on the front porch and just kind of like stand there for 10 minutes or whatever, just taking it in. And she gets a kick out of it because I'm out there leaning on the handrail, just like with sunglasses staring toward, like not at the sun, but off in that direction. And she was like, yeah, you're pretty funny, Dad. I'm like, what? She goes, do you want to come out here and enjoy the sunset or whatever? I was like, well, I got to enjoy the little things, I just gotta live it up. Because it's like, life is too fast paced as it is. There's too much going on. We all, there's too much stress and whatever. That we gotta find things that actually are like, hey, this is really nice. I'm just gonna enjoy this for a second. And then I have my drinks when I have my days off. I have my drinks on my 2 days off, whatever. Kind of be winding down and kind of just chilling out, whatever. Because like I said, you gotta find things that help you to just unwind and be all right, cool. I'm just gonna take this in. I'm gonna relax a minute. It's like my wife gets pretty stressed, and I keep joking with her, like, love, like you should get a couple of drinks too for your days off. And she's like, well, yeah, being diabetic, that alcohol just turns to sugar in the blood. I'm like, that's true, but as long as you're not drinking an entire bottle of Fireball or something, because I'm diabetic as well. It doesn't. I haven't. You gotta just know your limits. Not necessarily getting shit-faced drunk, and you're drinking the really hard stuff all the time, to where you're basically killing your liver entirely. But for me, it's like some of the Mike's Harders, a couple of these other kinds. I can't think of the brand or whatever, but basically it's like. These cans are kind of like the flavored drinks, there's the Screwdriver and the Mike's Harders or whatever. They're something like the Mike's Harders are the bigger cans, the 24 ounce. So it's like, usually by the time I'm enjoying those, especially with very little sleep, usually it doesn't take much. I do one of those, 1 or 2 of those, and I'm already starting to feel it pretty good because of the fact that when you're lacking sleep, it hits you really quick. If you're really rested, you could handle your drinks a little bit more before you actually start feeling the buzz. But with my current schedule, with my amount of sleep I get all the time, it doesn't take me much to feel it. So we gotta find things that we enjoy and that help us to actually feel good. I'm not saying go out there necessarily, especially if you're a driver. I'm not saying go out there and smoke weed or whatever. Or try the CBD or the gum, the really really high dosage gummies, you know, because, you know, one, we get like, you know, the random drug tests out here. So it's like, there's things that I would love to try, but probably not gonna do those until, you know, maybe once I can retire myself out here, you know, like once the podcast takes off 100%, you know, let me do podcasting full time, and I've grown the Mint Harvest Bitcoin mining, you know, passive opportunity. Once I've grown that to a certain point, that I'm making a certain daily income with that, then, and I don't have to worry about like being randomly drug tested and losing my license. Because obviously, if you're retired, you know, yeah, you can keep your CDL active by doing the med card every 2 years or every year, and you know, going in and just renewing your license whenever you have to renew it, even if you're not actively doing a professional driving job. My intention whenever I get to that point is I'm still gonna do what I have to do to keep my license active. So I'll have a CDL even if I'm not out here driving, because at least that way later on in life, if I were to choose to go back to doing it again, I would actually have that option, because I would still have the CDL. Just might have to go out and train a little bit to get like refreshers, because I haven't been out of it for however many years. But you know, when I'm fully retired, I would love to try certain things, like, you know, I have a friend up in Jersey that's like Joseph Lombardo, friend of mine for Facebook, whatever. I guess I think he does like medicinal marijuana, but I think he does it recreational as well. But it helps him with his pain. You know, has some medical conditions it helps him with. And I joked with him about like, yeah, I'd love to come up there and meet you, man. You know, come up there and hang out with you, whatever. I was like, I'd probably have to do that when I'm like, you know, not having to worry about being randomly drug tested, because I don't want to lose my job over it. And jokingly, I said probably also because I might need to take a few days to make sure that, you know, I'm not obvious about it when I come back home, because the wife would get a little pissed probably. She's like anti-vape, anti-smoking weed, whatever, you know. But hey, you know, she's never given me hell about me wanting to do my drinks on my weekend. So I'm like, well, you won't let me vape or smoke, so guess what? I'm drinking when I'm off. That's what works for me. It's something that I can just like put Netflix on, have a couple of my drinks, chill out, relax, whatever. Sometimes a stress relief, if there's might be kind of food I want to order, like going and getting Chinese. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, then you feel really good afterwards, because you're like, oh man, that was amazing. Or order authentic tacos from like an actual Mexican restaurant, you know, and order tacos for me and my kiddo, you know, because that's one of the things that we do. So one of our things, I guess, you know. But just finding little things that you can do that actually help you out. And sometimes some people might not. They just might. They might scroll. Their thing might be scrolling on their phone, scrolling on TikTok, sending people videos all the time, or watching. This is one of the things that's I always get a little bit of a kick out of. Like this is something my wife does, having YouTube connected to the TV and just randomly scrolling through, instead of watching actual TV, like watching like Netflix, Hulu, whatever, watching shows, scrolling through YouTube on the TV, watching different YouTube videos and stuff, and it's like, okay, those are cool, and yeah, some of them are like news related, but you know, you're not really unwinding or like relieving stress by flipping through and watching this. Like, for me, a stress relief is watching a movie. You know, throw some popcorn on, grab a beer, you know, and watching a movie, basically just kind of like unwinding and relaxing. You know, hell, one of the things that helps me also is that's why I try to be consistent on this podcast is there have been weeks when I got lazy and said, you know what, I'm not gonna worry about it. You know, I don't feel like it right now. I'm not gonna do it. And so we didn't have an episode that week. And there was like might have been times where I had 2 weeks where I had nothing, where I didn't post anything or didn't upload any episodes. And I found it really, really hard to then come back and try to get back into it because you slacked off, you didn't do any work, and then you took like 2 weeks off, and then you're like, all right, I know I need to get back to doing these episodes. I really need to do them, but then you're still like, yeah, but I haven't done them in 2 weeks. I don't feel like it. It's like if you go on vacation. You know, let's say you're doing something like what I do for a living, like your 14-hour days, whatever, doing trucking. You take like 3 weeks off or whatever, where you go to the beach or stay in a hotel for a couple weeks and actually sightsee and just chill out, relax. And then you come back, you get to the end of your vacation, you know, your days where you're off or whatever, and you have to get ready to go back in a couple days. And you're like, man, I don't want to go back to work, man. I mean, it's like when you're working your job up to the dates that you're supposed to go on vacation, and you know, the days seem really slow up to that point. You're like, oh man, I'm going on vacation in like 7 days. Then I'm going on vacation in 6 days. I'm going on vacation in 5 days. And, you know, then by the time you come up, woohoo, vacation tomorrow. Oh my God, it's been really, really long wait to get up here. But then you go on vacation, and let's say you're taking 10 days, like 10 or 14 days off or something. You go on vacation. Have you guys ever noticed when you go on vacation, you're taking time off work, that the days go by way too fast? Like seems like, you know, it's slow leading up to when you're taking the time off, but then it seems like every day you're already another day or two closer to, hey, what do you know? I passed the way station. But then you're on vacation, and then it takes, you know, it seems like every day is just flying by. Like, you start your day, and before you know it, you're going to bed going, man, the day went by really fast. And then before you know it, you're going to bed the next night again. And oh crap, man, I only got like 7 more days of vacation. Oh crap, 6 more days of vacation. Oh crap, down to 5. Oh man, down to 3. And then by the time you have a day, like a day or two left, you're like, man, my last day. And then I have to head back home, go back to work, and it sucks. Versus like when you retire, like when I retire, it'll be like, you know, the days might still fly by, but at the same time it might not, because I won't have a return to work day. You know, it won't be like, hey, I've only got 2 weeks till I go back to work. It'll be, hey, I'm retired, so I'm gonna be doing my entrepreneurial stuff. I'll keep doing the podcasts, you know, and just basically just trying to live the best life possible, you know. So maybe the days won't fly by because I'll have nothing but time. So, but you know, it's like we gotta find things that help you to either not feel the negative stuff that you feel, or to help you to deal with, you know, to let loose so that you are not overwhelmed by those emotions. And if you can't find something, like if nothing seems to work, like let's say you're snappy because you didn't have your energy drink today, so you're tired as hell, so you're just blowing up on everybody around you. And drinking Red Bulls or whatever, maybe it'll calm you down a little bit, make you feel better, so you can be like, okay, I feel better. I'm sorry I snapped. Maybe the other thing that basically, because I was telling my bro Rico about a situation, whatever. Maybe if nothing else fixes what the issue, makes you feel better, makes you less snappy, less blow up on people, there's always the therapy option, like going and talking to somebody, you know, figuring out if it's something that you're like, if it's that you're angry all the time, talking to a therapist or somebody, basically being like, you're trying to find the underlying issue, like what are you angry about, what is upsetting you so much, what is stressing you out so much, and how can you fix it? Because sadly, I think there's a lot of people out in the world today that are overwhelmed. They're constantly angry about something. They're snapping at people around them. And a lot of times, if you ask them, like, what's going on? Like, why are you always so snappy? Why are you always biting my head off or everybody else's head off? A lot of times, they might give you a couple of random things. I've just been stressed lately. Okay, but if it's something like where they do it all the time, like, okay, but you do it all the time. So yeah, you've been stressed lately, but what about all the other times? Like, what's going on? Like, do you know why you're feeling this way? Do you know, like, is somebody else causing this? Like, what is going on? You know. And sadly, a lot of times it might be like, well, I don't know. I've just been really, really uptight lately. You know, I've been anxious and very stressed for a while. I don't know why. I don't know what's causing it. You know, I'm sorry. Okay. You know, I think a lot of us, we got to figure out like what the underlying issue is. Like, what is bothering us? What is stressing us out? What is causing us to feel, you know, those emotions? And then we got to figure out, okay, but why is it getting so intense? Like, why am I so angry about that situation? To the point where it's not just, ooh, I'm angry, a little pissed off here, to I'm so angry that it boils over and I basically just destroy everything around me. Like the nuclear reaction. Like, you're so angry, it bubbles over, and it's like a you know, an IED or some kind of device just has a chemical reaction, and suddenly, like, everything around it for miles is gone. You know, it's like, why is it getting to that point where everything around you just vaporized in one instant because you got really, really, really upset about something and you blew everybody's head, you snapped everybody's head off, you know, because that's not healthy. Like, being that upset, having those like having those such strong negative emotions, and then letting it get to that point where you blow up at everybody, I believe, I mean, in my opinion, would be setting the stage for like a heart attack, you know, because it's not healthy on your body. One, to always feel that way, and it's definitely not healthy to blow up on people, because when you're screaming at people, you're also negatively affecting your own health. Like, yeah, you're negatively affecting them because you are verbally abusing them, verbally assaulting them, adding a very high amount of extra stress to their life, because they're like, well, why are you yelling? What the fuck? Like, what did I do? I'm not yelling at you. I'm stressed. I'm frustrated. Okay, I hear you, but I don't appreciate me being screamed at, or, you know, like, that's where it's like, yeah, we have this, you know, just like I said earlier, it's like, yeah, yes, we have the right to feel the way we feel. We have the right to have our emotions, to, you know, but like I was mentioning again earlier, we have to find better ways to deal with it. We have to find not just ways to deal with it, we got to figure out what the problem was. Like, what's causing those emotions? What's causing to be so overwhelmed? What's causing us to be so stressed? What's causing us to let it get to the point to where it doesn't just bubble up a little bit? When it hits us with full force, and we're pushing people away that care about us and want to help, because we're snapping at them. We're blowing up at them. We're biting their head off. Quite literally screaming at them, or screaming technically at them, but just about whatever they're stressed out about. You know, because yeah, if there's a situation that you're going through, where it causes you to be that pissed off. Doesn't matter that it's not about the person that you're blowing up at. When you're screaming at them about the situation, it still hurts. It's still a negative effect on that person, on your health, on the relationship between the two of you, Hell, some people actually, depending on the situation and depending on how bad the blow up was, some people might be like, "Fuck you," walk away. They're like, because I know with me, I'm like, look, I deserve better. I do not have to deal with you talking to me like this. I know I'm not the cause of whatever this is, but it's still, I'm not going to deal with being screamed at for something I didn't do, or something you're just upset about, but this is how you're expressing it. Because, yeah, you can express we all have a right to express our emotions, but we need to do it in a healthy way. We have to, a healthy way for us, as well as a healthy way for those around us. Hell, some of the suggestions I would recommend to people, like, for trying to find a way to, like, let loose, like, go sign up at a gym and go work out. Go sign up at a kickboxing, or kickboxing or title boxing or whatever, and go a couple times a week and basically just let it all out on the bag, and don't come home with all that pent up energy, all that pent up emotion, all that pent up stress, all the negativity. We should be giving those around us, like our family and friends or whatever, those in our circle. We should be giving them the best versions of ourselves. Because if you're giving certain people in your life the best versions of yourself, then others, like, let's say you have friends in your life that, yeah, you might go off with them a little bit, but otherwise they get the better part of you, but then you go home and you're home and you have to clean or something, and you're stressed about because you had to work and now you're having to clean, and so then you erupt and you blow up at those around you. It's not fair, because those closest to you should not get the worst side of you. Like, that's not fair to them. Like, in situations like that, especially in like a familial, like a family relationship, situations like that are what cause families to fall apart, or one of the things that cause families to fall apart, because people might be, like I said earlier, like, fuck this, like, go hide in your room because they don't want to deal with you, or maybe you not want to, like, say you're gonna go for a drive to go visit, like, say a grandparent, and you want to, let's say it's a kid that you blow up at or whatever, and you then, hey, you want to come with me to see grandma or whatever, and they're like, no, thank you. But then afterwards, you basically hear, like, well, I really wanted to go with them to see grandma, but after what happened earlier, I just didn't feel comfortable, being in a car with them, and I was like, I just didn't feel like it'd be a good idea to go, which makes sense, because, like, you just blew up on me, so I don't really know if I want to be in the car with you, So it's like situations like that, that's one of the negative effects that something like that can have, is that people that would normally want to be around you, all of a sudden they don't want to be around you because they're like, oh, I just bit my head off. I didn't do anything. Instead of, very like, okay, this is bothering me. I'm really stressed out about the situation. Can you help me buy such and such? Like, if it's dishes you're stressed out about, okay, like, I'm really stressed out because there's the sink's full of dishes. Don't go and do the dishes and start a fight with the rest, like, everybody else in the household about, like, oh, there's all of us here, we can all do the dishes, I cook and clean at work all day, blah, blah, blah. And then, but, then I come home and clean, it'll be nice to come home to a clean house, and then others be like, well, I work just as hard as you, and I do clean, like, I do this, I do that, and others in the household being like, yeah, I clean too, like, I just did the dishes the other day, blah blah blah. It's like we all have different lives, so it's like what's there's not anything better or more important about any one person's schedule. Like nobody in the house, let's say it's a father, or mom and dad, a couple kids, let's say one of the kids is like an adult kid. It's like in our house, for instance. Like we have, me and my wife. We have my oldest is 24, my youngest is a teenager, and then we have a grandson. It's like we all have different schedules. I work overnight. My wife she leaves work at like 5:30 in the morning. So our schedules overlap. And then with school and everything else, like everybody has a different schedule. So it's not always going to work out where things are always like perfectly clean, where there's nothing in the sink. Like it happens. And so it's like anytime that I'll like, there's been days where I might actually like, I get home, I might take a few hours before I try to go to bed or whatever, and I might try to take care of stuff. Okay, well, the wife doesn't want to stop the mail on her way home from work. Not sure why, but hey, But so I'll swing by the mailbox to see if there's even anything in there myself. Sometimes it's at like 12 o'clock. Sometimes the mail is there. A lot of times it's not, but sometimes they get there early. So I'll go and check, and they'll be like, hey, mailbox there's nothing in there yet. So that way they know somebody else has to go check it later because I'm going to go to bed. But, if like there's stuff in the sink, there's been times where I'll literally clean the kitchen before I go to bed myself. But then there's days where by the time I get home, I am dragging ass, I am tired as shit, and I can barely keep myself upright. And I'm like, I have to go crash. Like I have to go sleep. Like I can't. I don't have bandwidth and the energy to do anything right now. Because when you're that tired, the way I look at it is if I don't go to bed soon, like even if I have to like go take a shower really quick just so I can get cleaned up, but if I don't go to bed soon and you're that tired, I run the risk of having something bad happen. Like trying to walk down the stairs and falling down the stairs because one of my legs gives out because I'm just so exhausted. And then I'm out of commission for a while. Like I'm not working. I'm not bringing in that paycheck. I mean, yeah, we'll still be good on rent because got the disability payment. That basically covers the good old VA disability. From the active duty, whatever. Thankfully that covers rent, so we're good. Then we still have like coverage we have food covered, so we're good there. But it's like, but then we'll be struggling with paying the main bills because I won't be working. So it's like I have to go. Okay, well, in order for me to do what I have to do, I have to be able to sleep and get enough rest so I can come out here and drive again. And so it's like you just do what you can. You do your best you can, and then of course if in situations where you're like, I would do the dishes, I'm sorry, I just don't have it in me. If they're still there later on, I'll get to them when I get up. But you don't go do the dishes and get pissed while you're doing the dishes because you're doing the dishes, or cleaning something, or just a task in general, like do laundry, and I shouldn't have to do laundry. And you're pissed, and so you're taking it out everybody while you're screaming across the household while you're doing that task. I do laundry, or you're sweeping the floor because nobody ever sweeps. It's not healthy. It's not helpful. It's like nobody's benefiting from that at all, and it's especially making the situation even worse for everybody because of somebody is screaming at everybody else in the household about such and such that they are upset about, that they're stressing them out. It's like it would be if you can't do the task without getting really upset about it and biting everybody's head off around you, then don't do the task. Express to somebody in the household or whatever, like, hey, I'm really stressed out about this. Is it possible for you to try to take care of that? And sometimes, like, they might not be able to get around to it quick enough for you. But sometimes they can be like, yeah, I'll go and take care of it now. I'm sorry, like, yeah, I'll go deal with it. But then it's taken care of in a calm, respectful, loving way where it's like nobody feels like they've been completely like like ripped apart because somebody's upset. They're doing it. Nobody else did it. Had done that task yet. You know. So on that note, I hope you guys found value in this topic. Just, with stuff going on recently, definitely, like, it just seemed like something important to talk about, because I'm sure that others have had similar situations as what we talked about in this episode, where somebody, maybe a friend or a relative or something, anytime you see them, they have stuff going on, and it wasn't better of them. They're always upset. They blow up at you, whatever, and maybe they point out that they like, why are you blowing up at me? Like, I didn't do anything. I'm not blowing up at you. It's not about you. It's a situation. I'm upset. Okay, I can be upset. Okay, yes, that's true. You can be upset, and you have the right to feel the way you feel. But what you do not have the right to do is to drag other people around you down, cause them extra stress in their life, push them away from you, like make them not want to be around you, like hide, like not come over, or not, not agree to do something with you as far as like, hey, let's go for a drive. No, it's good. I'm good. I'll stay. Because they're like, yeah, you just kind of like blew up on me. I don't want to deal with you. Like, fuck off. I don't want to go with you. No way. Or I'm not coming over I'm not coming over to this friend's house because they're always like, they've blown up on me a few times, and I don't appreciate it, whatever. Because as a person, you might feel that you have the right to feel the way you feel and to react the way that you do to it, but then those around you, friends, family, whatever, they have the right to walk away. They have the right to feel the way they feel about how you're treating them, and they have a right to decide that they don't want to have anything to do with you because of it. So if that's going on in your life, friend, family, whatever, don't be afraid, one, to express how you feel about it. Like, they tell you, like, well, I have a right to feel the way I feel. I have a right to feel these emotions, okay? Express to them, like, yeah, that's right, you have a right to feel that way, and I have a right to feel the way I feel, and I have a right to also decide to not hang out with you anymore. What? Why? Well, because I'm not, like, that friend could be like, because I deserve better. I deserve to be talked to like a human. I deserve to be treated with respect. And, I do not deserve to be talked to the way you're talking to me. And if you can't talk to me or treat me better, like, if you have no, like, if you feel like you have every right to blow up on me because, that's just how you feel, then I'm gonna walk away, and you're not gonna see me for a while, because I'm just gonna be like, look, I can't handle this. So do not be afraid to walk away. Do not be afraid to tell them, like, put some boundaries. Like, look, can't do this. Like, and people get pissed when you walk, like, especially in the middle of like a heated conversation, someone just walks away. Oh, you're just gonna walk away? Damn right. That's my go-to move if it gets to a point where I'm not really getting, if I'm not really getting through to them, if I'm in a conversation where somebody's screaming at me or whatever, and I'm like, I really don't appreciate being screamed at. And they say, well, I have every right to feel what I feel, blah, 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 okay? And it doesn't seem like the conversation's going anywhere. I'll turn and I'll literally walk away, and it pisses them the fuck off. Because it's like, look, no, I've already stressed out enough about everything going on with the movers, with the job, life in general, lack of sleep, life in general. So if I ever have a situation where I feel like I, basically am being ripped a new one, and I don't deserve it, then I'll be like, fuck you, and walk away. You gotta take care of yourself. Even if it means, walking away from people close to you, to give that little bit of space. Like, look, I'm gonna go over here. You go figure out why the hell you're so upset. And when you can figure that out, figure out what you need in order to feel better, then let's talk about it. And then you basically come together and work on it. In some cases, if it's a chronic thing that's always happening, then therapy would be a recommendation. Like, go talk to somebody, try to work out what's what the underlying issue is, why you're always feeling upset, why you might snap at people, why you might take it out on people. And again, then you got the part of that is why you feel like you have every right to react the way you do when they have every right to be respected and loved and not treated or talked to the way that you're talking to them. Because, yeah, you have the right to feel how you feel, but you do not have the right to ruin other people's day because of you feeling overwhelmed by something, because of you feeling upset about something. If it was not caused by the people around you, they have the right, or they do not deserve to be talked to, like yelled at, talked down at, criticized, whatever, when it's not something that was done by them. And, so, anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys being here, as always, just keep pushing forward, keep believing, believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there, and then you just have to go out there and do it. Alright, just checking where I'm at on the good old Google Maps, because I know I had occasion where I did a Real Talk episode, and I had Google Maps going, and it doesn't always talk in my ear whenever it's giving directions, whenever I'm doing a recording. And so I missed my exit on the Kansas Turnpike. I think I was going down to Pittsburgh, or no, Wichita. I was going to Wichita, and I missed my turn. And I realized after I got done doing the recording, I went back to Google Maps, because everything's hands-free, so don't worry. But went back to Google Maps, and it wanted me to go another 30 miles down and take a bunch of small turns. And basically, what I did is I got off on one of the travel plazas. It was because I guess a lot of the travel plazas on the turnpikes out here going east, going west to Salina, and going south to Wichita, so the Oklahoma border. They had Loves in them. I was like, that's cool. That kind of makes sense why the company I drive for, the contractor that I'm currently with, actually, they only fuel at Loves. I'm like, well, Loves is the biggest truck stop I've seen out here in Kansas and Missouri. I mean, there's a couple of them in Missouri, but Kansas, a lot of Loves. So, but I went into the travel plaza that had Loves, and they didn't have a divider in the middle, so I was able to actually go in there and go over to the other side and end up going back north again on the turnpike. And I went 5 miles back to where I was supposed to get off at. And I was like, cool, all right, that works. Versus most travel plazas, you can't turn around like that. You literally have to go down and exit the turnpike and come back around. So I was like, woo, that was close. But so anyway, guys, you know how it is. Take care of yourself. Don't let friends or family in your life, if they do that to you, if they blow up at you for no reason, and then they try to justify it I have every right to, not really. You have every right to feel how you feel, yes. But they do not have the right to blow up at you, to scream at you about something they're frustrated about, when it could be simple, hey, I'm really stressed out about this situation. Can you help me with this? Sure. I'll go to my wife, and we'll have, when things get a little tense, and I'll be like, I'm just really stressing out. I'm in my head about this, that, whatever. It would really help me out if you would help me out with such and such. And most of the time, she does it. She does what she can to try to. And then we're usually good for a minute, and then she does the same to me. Hey, well, she's more of the get overwhelmed by the emotions type, but she does. We both try to let each other know, hey, this will help me out. If you can do such and such, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll try it. But do what you gotta do to take care of yourself. Do what you can to let loose, to let go of whatever is causing you to feel that way. If it's pet up anger, pet up frustration, like I said, go find a gym, go work out, go get into a kickboxing or a boxing gym where you can hit a bag and let out all your anger and aggression by punching the bag or whatever, punching and kicking, whatever. But find health, or go bowling. You know, bowling, movies, whatever. Go find hobbies that'll actually help you to kind of like feel better, to kind of like relax, you know, like enjoy yourself and have a little fun, you know, and that way you're taking care of yourself and you're doing it in a healthy way, whereas you're not just letting out those emotions by blowing up on people. Because I have a right to do it. No, you don't. You don't have a right to blow up at people and to ruin their day. You do have a right to feel the way you feel, but how you express that, how you deal with it, is the important thing. So, on that note, guys, anybody who might be looking for a passive opportunity, this BitHarvest Bitcoin mining opportunity is freaking awesome. I went from 30 cents a day, I think I'm at like a little over $3 a day currently. Just continuing to grow it, and I don't do anything. Literally, it's like it's passive. It's working for me all the time. I'll have the link in the show notes, but it's basically passive bitcoin247.com. Feel free to check it out. It's one of those things you don't have to refer or recruit or anything. You literally just start it up and let it grow and compound it like I'm doing, and you can tell people about it if you want. But aside from that, stay tuned. Coming up next, as always, lately, be the raw chat segments. We've had some really good raw chat conversations lately, and last week's, which are one of the last ones we did, which won't be this week's episode. That'll probably be next week's. Cause I try to always have like maybe at least 2 or 3 recordings available, so that way I know that I'm good for not just the current week, but then for the next week, and then usually get another recording in the meantime, so that I'm good for the following week. So it's like, really do I get to a point where I'm like, it's podcast episode time, and all I have is real talk. I don't have raw chat. So far, that hasn't been an issue. But one of the recent conversations had me, my buddy Dave Goldberg. He had some other friends connected with him. We have a lady that I think she does like dry bulk tanker, Janelle. There's a guy that I believe he's like 60 something, and he's been trucking for like 43 years, I believe. So I think he's officially, as of today, or a couple days ago, I think he's retired now. Good old John. Little shout out to John. You know, like he was only like 16 days and a wake up, and then of course it was like 5 days and a wake up. The last time when we had him on that episode that'll be coming out in a little over a week, I was like, so John, what, you got like 4 hours and a wake up? He goes, hell yeah. So, and then of course others that are out there doing like, there's one guy named Miles that I believe he drives one of the cement trucks. So he goes and lays out cement. And I think there's a postal carrier that's out there that used to drive trucks, but he's out there doing mail delivery now. I think there's a flatbed person that was on there at one point, but I don't know everybody's name. But you know, I'm kind of remembering. Some names as they, you know, when they come back out, I'm like, oh yeah, this person, I remember that. But, you know, because I told Dave, I said, I'm really bad with names, like, especially when I'm meeting people in person. Like, I'm really bad with names, but, you know, after I meet them a couple times, you know, I'll remember faces, but names will kind of take a minute. I said, I haven't met any of these guys, these people that we've talked to. I said, that's why I changed the people, because, of course, Janelle, you know. We do have a lot of guys on there, but then Janelle pops in there and stuff. But it's always a fun time, and I don't, as you guys notice, like, I don't really edit these episodes. Like, what you hear is what you get. Like, I edit them as far as I put background music and stuff like that. But I don't edit as far as, like, edit out if somebody made a comment about something, you know, or if somebody said something, you know. I might edit out if there's like all of a sudden like for whatever reason we lost like signal a little bit, and so there's like maybe like a 5 or 10 minute dead space where it's just quiet. I might edit that, cut that down, so people who are listening to the episode don't end up, don't end up just being on the listening to the call with nobody on there for a while. So I might edit that out, but I don't cut out like conversations or whatever. So check it out. It's a raw chat segment, I believe. With my, technically, I look at Dave, my buddy Dave, as a kind of my co-host for that segment, because usually we start the call with just he and I, and then he gets other drivers on there to join the chat or whatever, So I think I think he's working on getting like an Instagram set up for that segment. I think he set up an email for it or whatever. At some point I will get the website for the Blodgett Show back up, and we'll have a support link and stuff if anybody wants to, financially support the show, whatever, But things are moving along, We're getting there. So, on that note, guys, appreciate you. Keep being awesome. You got this. Don't let people walk all over you. Don't let people blow up on you, whatever, because you deserve better. And I will talk to you guys on the next Real Talk Tuesday. Obviously tune in to the Raw Chat. Check it out. See what you guys will like it. But we'll see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your week. And we'll talk to you then. Have a good one.